Hey y'all, I'm Allison Asarch from Nashville, Tennessee.
Hey, I'm Sean Fraser from the Ritzy Kids.
Hunters, this is Johnny from Rail Motor.
Hey, it's Shane from Blind Season.
Hey, it's Rob Stanier, and you can check out my music on all the streaming platforms.
Check out my latest music on all the streaming sites.
Check out my debut album on all streaming platforms.
Check out our new debut album.
Check us out on Spotify and Apple Music. And you're listening to our friends, Braggy and Curly.
My favorite bands from Australia.
My two favourite podcasters,
Braggy and Curly.
Braggy and Curly.
On the
Unfiltered and Undiscovered Podcast.
Hey there, everyone, and welcome to episode 129 of the Unfiltered and Undiscovered Podcast. We've got a packed board today, as you can see on the video. We've got 5 friendly faces. We've got the 2 boys. We've got Soren and David from Sweet Talk. How are you, boys? Thanks for joining us.
Pleasure to be here.
Why am I showing that on? I'll hide that one. That's pretty ordinary. Let's do this one. That's better. And of course, we got our regular co-host. We've got Braggy from Sydney. Braggy from Adelaide.
Yes.
And totally overwhelmed by Queenslanders today. We have Rossi from Sydney. How are you, boys?
Very good, thanks, mate. And I do speak Queenslander. I can go a bit slower if you want.
And I'll just confirm, Sweet Talker from Melbourne, but they're Gold Coast boys living down there under duress and house arrest, I must say. So, but anyway. All right, little bit of news. Let's talk about, Braggy, what happened with the cricket. The 2020, there was 3 games. And
I've lost interest since the World Cup. So I think there was a 2020 last night, and Maxwell did it again. But I'm just looking forward to the Australian summer now. You know, bit of shield cricket or stuff like that. I'm into.
Yeah, the Gabba's got a day-night test this year.
Yeah, he took it from us. Yeah, from Adelaide.
Yeah, see, we just take everything. And you noted off air that Soren has got the Travis head mustache.
Well,
but Soren corrected you.
Yeah, I actually think it's probably a Boonie mustache.
Yeah, it's
We're going to go to
Yeah.
origins of mustaches.
That's a fair shout, actually. Yeah, he versus me in the age stage, so I think that that's a good shout.
Okay, cool.
Right.
How many beers could you do on a flight to England, do you think?
Fair few.
That would go. I'd go toe to toe with Bernie, I reckon.
All right, a little bit of news. Tomorrow's Oz Music T-shirt Day. We record on a Wednesday. Of course, the podcast comes out on a Friday. Rossi, I've seen a couple of bands promoting Oz Music Day, but they never make mention of Support Act.
Yeah, and that's the point of the whole thing, is to make a donation to Support Act, and the money goes into, it's a benevolent fund for Crew, and they do a lot of really good. They run a lot of really good campaigns and causes and support. And I know they've personally helped a number of people I know. And so, rather than just posting a photo of yourself wearing a t-shirt saying, "Look, I've got a cool t-shirt," if you can kick $5 in, $2 in, $10 in, it doesn't matter. Anything you can does make a difference, and I've seen it make a difference to many people's lives. I think it's a great thing.
Absolutely, and a great cause. And the other piece of news that you've got some news about that wonderful episode we did with Firefly, one of our favorites, because I think I laughed the whole way through.
Melodic death metal, wasn't it?
Melodic death metal. Yeah, that's right. The laughs don't stop with our mates from Firefly. Kyle and his beautiful fiancée Janine were going to New Zealand. Went to New Zealand to get married. And the rest of the band and their nearest and dearest all flew into New Zealand. That they're having a destination wedding in Hobbiton.
Okay.
Unfortunately for them, on the way over, the people at the wedding who were all waiting for them got a text message saying the boat had been turned around and sent to Tasmania.
The boat?
They were on the boat. They were on the boat to New Zealand. And it docked in New Zealand, and it got sent to Tasmania, and they weren't allowed. So everyone was there waiting for the people to turn up and get married. They never arrived because they were sent to Tasmania.
Well, Hobbiton, Tasmania, it's kind of
the P&O cruise turned it around for biosecurity cause in New Zealand.
Wow,
they're very tough on borders over there, apparently.
That's a classic. It only happened to those boys, and there's just another story for them to be sharing. Oh, that's a classic. All right,
And
so let's.
So they're still not married. They're still not
so
married.
they're officially not married,
Okay.
and they blew their dough, no doubt.
Oh, well,
Yeah.
it's a good
Unbelievable.
story to have.
Let's introduce our guests tonight, and these guys have been recently nominated for Best Live Blues and Roots Act in the 2023 National Live Music Awards. Please welcome Soren and Dave from Sweet Talk. How are you guys?
Really well, thank you.
Doing great, guys. Yeah, good to be here.
I usually start the first question, guys, and I usually like to take us back to where it all started for you guys. Like, did you have musical parents? Did you? When was music become a thing in your life?
Yeah, I mean, you go, Dave. Yeah, go on.
I would say, I know this is true for Soren too, but we both had parents that were deeply into music. I remember sitting at 3 years old, seeing the turntable go around, and my dad wasn't at home, and I asked my mum where he was, and she said seeing James Taylor. And I remember distinctly thinking, that's cool that he can go out to dinner with James Taylor. It wasn't until many years later that I kind of pieced that one together. But they had, growing up having records, I was brought up on a lot of stuff from the 60s and 70s and even into the 80s with like things like Sade, which is soul music still. Really clear memories. I was listening to Van Morrison all day actually, because that brings me right back to the beginning of everything. So I guess from a very early age, music was always on in the house, and to this day, my parents listen to it all the time, and we do here as well with our kids. So.
That makes a lot of sense, Dave. With what I hear from what I've been listening to today, you guys stuff today.
And Soren, was yours a similar story?
Yeah, parents were music mad. None of them played as such, but again, probably like Dave, I had an uncle that was pretty into his music. He took an interest in, I guess, my love of music at an early age, and sort of, I guess, stoked it. As I said, the parents were really encouraging, loved their music. I guess the big tip-off point for me was when the Beatles anthology was on telly. We recorded that, or the parents did because I was in bed. But they recorded it for me on VHS, and I just became obsessed with that series. And pretty much knew from then on, I knew what my journey was going to look like.
If you've got the Beatles as a foundation, you can't go wrong.
I have a similar VHS type story, although mine was a little bit more angsty teenagery, where the first time I ever noticed anything that I was like, that's what I want to do, was MTV Unplugged Nirvana live. When I first saw that, and I thought, who is this guy wailing while playing an acoustic guitar? It was the first time I'd noticed music that was like of my generation. That wasn't my parents' music, and that kind of really set me on a pathway that it might be possible to do, I suppose. So that was like, I know for Soren, you like wanted to learn every Beatles song. I wanted to learn every Nirvana song, which I suppose by proxy is.
It's
like he was Beatles mad. So
Kurt's obviously a Beatles, huge fan.
I don't think it's unrelated. I think, I don't know it is.
Well, I mean, musically speaking, the complexity of Nirvana's melodies and where he places things are really not dissimilar at all. It's not basic, even though people might think it is.
I've spent a period of my life being lectured about Nirvana by a young person I live with, because there's a resurgence of that stuff now again.
His choice of melody over the chords is just unbelievable.
Really unique.
The guy from Rode Microphones bought that guitar, and it lives here now.
Oh, really?
I've heard this.
Yeah,
Martin.
I saw it at an exhibition in Sydney at the Powerhouse Museum. It's the biggest price paid for a guitar up until I think some other guitars got sold last month. But it's wild because it's really iconic, isn't it?
Oh yeah,
that performance, stoked so many people. It kicked off 1,000 bands, I reckon.
Yeah,
I remember my brother actually got it. His first guitar, we painted it like, was it Pat Smear's guitar with the three? Yeah, we got one from the dump, sanded it down, and painted it exactly like that. Yeah.
Well, that's right.
DIY stuff.
They got people. Nirvana got people back into guitar right at the perfect age for me. Because before that, I suppose you had you had this really technical kind of hair metal stuff, and that seemed opaque and impossible to penetrate for a 12-year-old.
Mm.
You know,
It just
and then all of a
swept
sudden, it's
everything out of the way.
yeah, I can do that. I think, you know.
Yeah.
So
Well, that's just the cycle, isn't it, of rock and roll? I mean, you know, you take that back to Elvis. You know, that's just swept all the jazz and stuff out of the way, and we're just playing 3 chords, 12 bar. You know, and then punk does it, and then and then grunge
Motley
does it.
Crue were dinosaurs at the time, weren't they?
Yeah,
Motley Crue and all those bands.
Yeah, still good, but
Warrant. Oh no, Lord.
But you know, there was also like the inflated kind of post-prog rock pop stuff like Journey, and like I love all that stuff, right? But you know, that was
in an
massive.
ironic sense.
You know, really, really large production, things like that, and all of that stuff really was coming to an end. It's like, well, where can we go with this now? So that came out and really.
I was 15 when Nevermind the Bollocks came out. Same thing happened. It was like, what? Like I was listening to Blackmore's Rainbow and Black Sabbath, and then you heard that and just went, oh, okay. And I can play this too. And I can play this. You know?
Yeah, and it's multi-generational too. My daughter's she's 4 and she's obsessed with the Ramones because there's a Ramones song in Spider-Man, one of the recent Spider-Mans. And so I finally got her past Blitzkrieg Bop recently, and she learned the word similar. I'm like, yeah, well, it is similar to all the other Ramones songs, but man, there's not a bad Ramones song. I couldn't find one. I listened to it for 3 hours, and every song is good.
Yeah,
and even if they weren't good, they're quick. So.
That's right.
But we just on behalf of people everywhere, we just want to thank you for what you're doing.
Yeah. She couldn't sit through. I tried to put on God Save the Queen. That was a bit much for her at the time, but
she'll get there. She'll get there.
Yeah, she will. She will. So tell us the story of the band. So we've heard music was an early inspiration. What were your first bands? What were they like? And then how did it migrate and morph into what we now know as Sweet Talk?
Yeah, well, we've circled each other for so many years in different musical acts, different genres to a certain extent. My brother and I, Tani, the lead singer, in another life, were in a reggae band. And it was sort of a soul reggae act, but that formed part of our journey here. But me and Dave were in a country band before Sweet Talk called Jimmy the Saint and the Sinners, which is fortunately still continuing to this day. A great band, check it out. So we've sort of circled each other for the better part of 15 years plus. And I know that this kind of music, the stuff that we're putting together now, the tapestry of influence that we're trying to stitch together now, is something that we've both always spoken about, but something we probably just had never had the opportunity to put something together to make it come to fruition. And I guess COVID weirdly provided that for us. We had a lot of time, and via email, via phone, and in the very small windows where we could, we were able to put together the proper bones of what would become Sweet Talk.
Yeah, that's been the story from a lot of bands we've interviewed. That COVID period has been a time where everyone's consolidated, and you just knew it, didn't you? You knew that once it was all done, that there was just going to be this spring of new stuff coming out. It's really hard to put you guys in a little pocket for what sound you do. When I first listened, I thought it's like the Teskey Brothers, but then I hear like your old mate on the piano, and then I even remind me of Dr. Hook at one point when I was listening to your stuff, because it's got that pop sort of mentality.
For sure.
Curly sent out a list of a whole bunch of different artists, and he asked Rossi and I to say, who do you want? Who should we get on? And so I was listening to all the stuff, and then you had me at the shuffle. But you guys,
we're discussing the shuffle.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because it is, the shuffle is something you don't hear a lot in modern music, and if you do, it's either a really stiff, almost programmed shuffle, like people have learned to play listening to drum machines. It's one of the reasons why we connected with Nick, our drummer, so early on. It was because he was one of the only guys in Melbourne we knew that could shuffle. Because rock and roll kind of went down a really straight pathway. I don't want to blame Pro Tools entirely, but you can. I often talk about go back to Nirvana. because my background with bands was kind of punk stuff, you know, like I was in a punk band in the UK for a while, and then I did like sort of electronic kind of new wavy type stuff until the country band. But yeah, like in that sort of music, you really get the feel for that. Like the shuffle's kind of gone, you know, it's like it's pretty straight ahead stuff. And if you look at Nirvana's work and compare it to the Foo Fighters, you can really hear the influence of Pro Tools, I think, on the second.
Yeah,
band.
fair enough.
Try and quantize a shuffle.
Totally. Yeah. I mean, you know, there was a time where once upon a time we probably tried during a demoing phase or something like that.
I think there's a preset where you can try to shuffle it in the quantizing phase. No, don't do that.
Because it will still snap it to some kind of algorithm, right? And it becomes repetitive. And so, yeah, it's, the shuffle is essential to our sound. You know, you mentioned
it's organic and it ebbs and flows. Right.
Yeah, that's right. We do everything live to tape. We play all together all at once. And so Soren and I, when we did get together and start talking about what it was we wanted to do, like when we were like even in high school, like towards just coming out of high school, we used to get together and watch the band's Last Waltz all the time, you know. And then we tapped hard into Levon's.
My favorite.
Yeah, and we got heavily into Levon's solo records. When we first started really like tapping
Electric Dirt, was it? And then Dirt
Electric Dirt. Yeah, and Dirt Farmer. Yeah, exactly. And so like those records, like I guess because we probably didn't like come from like straight country initially, and we still don't. But you know, those were some of the ones where we're like, oh yeah, okay, it's not just Garth Brooks and you know, the big slick stuff.
What do you call that? It's like Americana.
Yeah, I mean, it used to be called country music.
yeah, fair enough.
Yeah. But now we kind of call Americana anything that kind of relates to maybe 60s or 70s country.
Well, maybe you guys are Australiana.
Yeah, I like to
maybe
think.
that's your genre. I just invented a new genre.
Yeah, we name check Australian places a lot in our music, and we try to. So write about what you are and where you're from. But yeah, the shuffle, man, it's a core principle for sure.
The pocket, the shuffle is the core to the pocket, and the pocket is what it's really all about.
If you got to live in the pocket, man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, musos.
We're discussing our favorite shuffle players earlier on. Who do you guys listen to? If you're listening to stuff, what's your go-to?
Oh, Picaro, probably. I mean,
that's right. You got Picaro earlier.
Yeah. That's. I mean, like Levon. Well, I mean, like one of our primary, things that we listen to is Little Feat. So Richie, would have to be in there. He kind of like is the zenith, I think, of that kind of. I think he's the zenith of that kind of thing. You know, like blending, like kind of like a shuffle that's really consistent with like rock, the ability to play like rock feels through it. You know, and he's just insane, that guy.
That's right. Like we were talking about Bernard Purdie earlier as well. But I'm also a big fan of Brian Downey from Thin Lizzy, who's the king of rock shuffle. Like rock shuffle, like every Thin Lizzy song's got a shuffle in it, and you just go, "What's he doing? Why is he doing that?"
All right, so I'm cutting in here. This is part one of Braggy's Who Am I? Musos get talking and it's just
I'm not sure who the audience is, but I'm enjoying it.
All right, you might get this one in the first go. Rossi might. He's like the Glen A. Baker of our show. I was born on Christmas Day, 1946, in Pescagoula, Mississippi, but spent most of my childhood in Mobile, Alabama, where my father worked as an engineer for the United States Army. As a child, I was exposed to sailing. My grandfather was a steamship captain from Newfoundland, and his father was a marine engineer and sailor. I was educated by the Jesuits as a Catholic and served as an altar boy at church. I attended St. Ignatius School, where I played the trombone in the school band. It was around this time, after seeing a folk music group perform in Biloxi, Mississippi, I realized I wanted to be a musician. I enrolled at Auburn University and was taught how to play guitar by a fraternity brother in order to garner attention from girls. Can anyone relate to that?
Classic.
I dropped out of I dropped out of college after a year in April 1966, unable to balance my newfound interest in music and girls with my college classes. For a while, I played in an acid rock band called the Upstairs Alliance, trying unsuccessfully to sound like Jefferson Airplane. This musical failure sent me back to college, where I finally graduated with a bachelor's degree in history.
That's the clues.
That's the clues for the first one.
That's the first part.
Yeah.
So we get more clues. Yeah.
Yeah.
He's a historian.
Oh,
there's a big clue.
Yeah.
There's a big clue in that first one, though.
Well,
is there, Braggy? Is there? All right. Processing it all.
I mean, has it got? Can I ask a question? Will I get
it? So graduated 66.
Has it got anything to do with the band Big Star?
No. Good band though. It's a great record shop and here called Big Star Records in Adelaide. I go there all the time.
All right, let's talk about the song, shall we? The your latest release is called Warm Love, and tell us the inspiration behind the song, the song itself. Let's hear the story.
Well, I guess it started life as just like a riff, like most of our stuff does. It starts somewhere, just like it was a riff that was actually kind of lifted from a different song. When that riff was played in that particular song, it was too much for the song. This is crazy sauce, that the guitar part kind of pulled it out of there and built another song around it. Like our co-writing style a lot of the time is when one of us hits a brick wall, we pass it on to the other person to see if they can come up with something for it. And that came about with this one. Like, I think I had a verse maybe and a pattern in the choruses, and then send it over to Soren, and he kind of built it around that. And all we knew really was that it was about a guy who ends up in the doghouse, but we didn't know how he got there. So like that hook of like, looks like I'm heading for the guillotine. Oh, mama, why you gotta be mean? He's in trouble, but we don't know why. So we kind of constructed the narrative around a guy who kind of gets a little bit too ligged up on date night and has to be carried home. And then he tries to apologize the next day, but he misses breakfast, and then he misses the mimosas, and then he asks her out on another date. So, and there's a few little hiccups along the way. So it's his kind of attempt at apologizing to his partner really poorly.
You guys' arrangements are really different as well. It's not like your normal, you guys got a lot of pre-chorus here. You think, oh, is this the chorus? No, this is not the chorus. Guys, it's cool. And then the other thing that won me over was a harmony guitar fucking solo. Fuck yeah.
Yeah. No, No, thank you for that. Yeah, we I guess when you listen to great tunes, especially from that era, a lot of them you lock onto bits, the hooky bits of a song, and a lot of them they have one or two, which is great as well, and we have some that have one or two as well. But it's nice to stitch like a few real subtle ones together. So like there can be a bit there, and you might not even realize it's a bit. And yeah, so it's stitching as many of those things together in a subtle way, I think. That sort of makes our sound, I guess.
And I guess you don't want to give people just a little bit here, and so they listen to the song again to pick up that one little bit where it repeats.
Yeah, I mean, one of the things I think we try to do when we hark back to some of our favorite records is there's real subtle things that they do with like beat count. For example, you might add another 2 beats on, so you have a full bar and then you just have a measure of 2. Subtle key changes. I mean, this harmonized guitar solo you talk about, the chord progression that the solo is over never repeats again in the song. The only time it's in the song, the only purpose it serves is to support the solo. So we have those kinds of moments where it's like, it's just, you set expectation, you subvert it, but not in a way that makes people go, whoa, in a way that's people like, wait, did I just hear that?
Yeah.
It's really thoughtful, really thoughtful.
Well, but this is what our heroes did, so for us, it's just kind of like, we're just learning from the people that we look up to. It's just something that has kind of unfortunately gone in modern music. I remember I had a guitar teacher who said to me, it was like when the diminished chords started getting taken out of music, it's like that's when you really started to notice the simplification, the passing chords, exactly. And so we use a ton of those all the time.
That's why we go back to the Beatles, right? The Beatles did lots of sevenths and diminished chords. Lots of that stuff is there. And you listen to it, and it's masters of it, man. Absolutely.
Totally. They wrote the book for how that stuff applied in popular music, really, rock and roll. But like subtle key changes and all that sort of stuff. It's so important.
All that band stuff, though, like that was very sophisticated for the time. Like, I sadly, 14-year-old Rossi actually took a girl on a date to see The Last Waltz. It was really not a really good move.
Wow. Depends on the girl, I'd imagine, Rossi.
Didn't work. Did not work. I was too interested in what was going on. Here comes the doctor. It's Dr. John. Who? What?
I remember going to see Almost Famous for the first time and hearing Elton John's Tiny Dancer for the first time. And I couldn't concentrate on the movie from that point onwards, because back then you couldn't just go and look up this song when it first came out. So the whole rest of the movie, I had to keep singing the song in my head so I'd remember it when I got home. And the girl I was with was just like, "What are you doing, mate?" I'm like, "This is important. I'll explain later."
That's such a great flick, though, isn't it?
Yeah, it is. It is. And it's one of my favorites to this day. But that song hit me like a ton of bricks, and I had to remember that.
Hold me closer, Tony Dancer.
Yeah,
exactly.
But The Last Waltz too. Like my whole family, which is only 3 of us, my daughter and my wife, we love that movie so much. It's just the way they back everybody in that movie. It blows my mind. It's almost a different band for each person that comes out that they play behind.
They tried to do that out here with that Andy Durant memorial concert. That Andy Durant was the guitar player in Stars who died. Who wrote all the songs. Stars are a country rock band, and they had this big, and they got Broderick Smith and all those sort of guys in, and it was like that's all they were basing themselves on. They'd seen that and they've gone, we need to do that here. Wasn't quite as impressive, I must say. Interesting.
I mean, so hard. We've collaborated with friends live before, and you get people up to sing harmonies and stuff like that, and it always comes across as just kind of a bit of fun, but it just shows you the collaborative powers that those guys had, because they were supporting bands for such a long time, Dylan and Ronnie and all that sort of stuff. And then, so they were already well versed in exactly how to play the role of the support person. And then they just got superstars to jump up with them. So they just had to support like Van Morrison and Bob Dylan,
I know.
But yeah, it's magic. It's absolutely magical, and there's quality to songwriting and
it's under. I think some people don't even realize what they're seeing, because it's that
Yeah.
sophisticated. It's just that classy, you know.
I love it.
Yeah.
So you guys have got a bit of a back catalogue sitting out there in the world as we know it, and I've really got to ask you about the name of the EP. In 2022, 6 songs. I'd rather be listening to Sweet Talk.
That is right. Yes, and wouldn't you just? I guess it's it's kind of a tongue-in-cheek, cheeky thing to name your first EP, which sort of is reflective of who we are and the kind of band we are. I don't know. It's just it's just cheek. I think that's what it came down to. We saw it.
We called our first country album "The Best Of."
Yeah.
Like,
so you see, there's a theme there.
It is. It truly was.
It was. It was the best and only 10 songs that we had.
The truth is an offense.
But I tell you what, when you're at a show or a festival and you see a bunch of T-shirts that are white with just red text on it that says "I'd rather be listening to Sweet Talk" on the front.
I'm getting one.
Yeah, you can kind of understand why it works.
Yeah, I get you. And it's good to have, it's good to have a bit of comedy, take the piss out of yourselves a little bit.
Well, like Soren mentioned that it was it's tongue in cheek. Like we try to have a bit of humor in all of our music.
Yeah.
Like there's always, because you can sing about some heavy stuff and still have humor in it. Ry Cooder is a master at that. Lowell George is a master at that. They talk about heavy stuff, but it's all like it's kind of like if you make light of it, it actually makes it easier to digest, I think. So, we like to think there's always a bit of, kind of a kind of tragedy comedy kind of thing going on.
Yeah,
Stuff's too serious these days. People take themselves way too seriously.
Yeah.
So how you find the live realm these days? Like, do you guys, like gigging's always a battle? You guys getting out there as much as you can?
Definitely, yeah. We love to play live. Essentially, we're probably at our best when we are on stage, and it's all the process of trying to capture what we do on stage when we're trying to record. So we'll play anywhere, anytime. It's just what we do. We don't find it. We're sort of early days as far as us as a band, but we've found it really enjoyable. I think it's taken us to places we wouldn't have gone before. We've just come back from a trip to WA. I personally had never been to WA, so
wow, that's
sorts of things.
A long way.
Yeah, and it was it was an arduous trip, but it was very much worth it. We'll be back there for sure. We loved it. It was at the Bridgetown Blues Fest, so nice. we love playing live. I think I can speak for all the guys when I say that. Yeah,
that makes a band though, doesn't it? Like I've discussed that. A lot of younger bands these days, they put out a single before they've hardly done any gigs, and it's like you got to play live. You just have to, Or at least in my opinion, the more you play live, the better it is. The songs grow different legs.
Exactly.
For sure.
Yeah,
massively. I mean, we try to because the first EP was a proof of concept that we did because we were in COVID and no one would book us for a show because we had no material. So
because of COVID, we had to do it differently.
Of course.
But we rehearsed the crap out of it and then did it to a small audience in a studio because we had like the film crew there anyway. So we filmed all that. That was just supposed to be a proof of concept to get a show, but it turned out really good, so we released it. But this time around, the last few songs we've recorded, that's been after some heavy touring. Like we've played those songs for probably 6 months to 12 months before we've recorded them. So that's in there, but even still, like they've taken on a life of their own. We've done about 8 or 9 weeks back to back touring on weekends, fly out, come back, or, like we did a Victorian run and we had last weekend off, but we're in Sydney this weekend.
Where are you this weekend?
Ooh.
Newtown Festival.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm guessing that's in Newtown. And that might be the extent of the information I have for you, Rossi. But
Festival. Yeah. And so tell us, I picked up the Irreverent tone when I saw a bit of the documentary. How did that all happen?
Which one?
We released a new one today.
Yeah.
In fact.
Yeah, we put out a documentary about ourselves and the making of an I'd rather listen to Sweet Talk before we'd even play the show.
Yeah.
But I think the vibe of blowing yourself up and making yourself look bigger than you are sometimes can work, and that's great.
Yeah.
I get that. I really get that.
If it works for Beckham, if it works for Beckham.
Yeah.
Well,
Make it till you make it.
Was it that Bon Jovi video clip where they hired I think Bon Jovi put out a music video where they hired an empty stadium and filmed a whole bunch of like flyover shots of them playing live, and then just spliced in massive crowd footage to make it look like they're playing to a huge crowd. And they had like 200 people there in the mosh pit, but that was it. And then they just cleverly edited it.
Think smarter.
Yeah,
that's right. I work for bands that have done that, and I'm like going, what the fuck am I doing here?
And I see on your show dates you're playing up here in Brisbane at the Eaton's Hill in February, 1st of February. Supporting Charlie Crockett?
Charlie Crockett, yeah.
Oh, he's the black country singer.
Yeah. So I mean he's a like an alt country super lord at the moment. I mean he's taking the world by storm. He kind of I feel like he's the natural kind of successor to Justin Townes Earle, who passed away sadly over COVID, you know, and I know that Charlie Crockett feels, you know, that Justin Townes Earle was his kind of, you know, genesis, but there was a bit of a gap there for like authentic Texan kind of bar country music. Yeah. So I saw him live earlier this year, maybe April or something like that, when he was last out. We were blown away when we found out we got the support for that. Like there's no way we would have thought that would have occurred. And I think we found out maybe a week or two after that we were playing the Blues Fest in Byron Bay, which is so crazy for us to think about.
Because we just kicking goals.
Yeah, you know, that was we grew up there. We went there every year.
Going up on the Goldie, that was a huge formative part of our musical journey, I'd say.
Yeah.
Canned Heat was specials in those days.
Yeah.
Oh man.
Canned Heat, because Peter Noble, the guy who runs it, was bringing Canned Heat back out in the like 85. That was he made all his money on Canned Heat. Would you believe he made money on the Flaming Groovies?
Yeah.
Like and I think he put out Johnny Thunder and the Heartbreakers as well.
Wow.
I would have been one of those punters putting money down to go see the Flaming Groovies just quietly.
Yeah,
so
sure you were.
Yeah.
Hey, that's how Blues Fest came about.
Hey Braggy, I'm sure you'll be shocked to understand that it's they're not visiting Adelaide.
Who's not visiting Adelaide?
Charlie Crockett or the boys from
Sweet
Charlie
Talk. Crockett is. Charlie Crockett is.
Well, you don't have the right support act then. So
no,
that's right.
Yeah, we're on like 70%.
And he's at the Gov. He'd be at the Gov, which is a great venue. Great room. Yeah.
So Enmore Theatre in Sydney, Rossi, 4th of February. So
that's massive.
Yeah. Great gig.
Yeah.
Boy.
Right.
You guys have done it the right way. Just make a documentary about yourself and all the gigs.
We still joke about that, don't we? We're like, when we've had a few, you know, couple of fizzy drinks of a night, we're still like, how are we, mate? We put a documentary out after 3 months. We just laugh, you know. It's ridiculous, but we're projecting forward and hopefully, you know, sort of thinking about the project. If people do like this band, that's something that I would like as a fan to go back and watch. So that was the thinking behind it.
Yeah, we try to do just the stuff that we were touching on a bit before, but this is the first band where we've done exactly what it is we want. Musically, you know, we get to play solos finally in the music, and, you know, we're just putting out stuff that we want to see, you know, and hopefully that catches a light with other people, but we'd be doing this one way or another.
Yeah.
But the genesis for what you're doing is all the hard work you've done over the preceding 20 years, right?
Yeah.
So it's not like you've come from nowhere.
No, I just think that like a lot of people ask us, like, where have you guys kind of been? But I feel like it's just that we've just taken a bit of time to bubble away. We're working on different projects, we're making records and doing all sorts of different things. But this is the one where we just thought, let's give it one last go, you know, like COVID came, kicked our butts. Like if we could get back out there in the world and start playing music again, what would it look like? And that's what it is, you know? And so it's like, kind of, you know, we're not like, you know, in our 20s anymore. But so we're just looking to like, let's give it a red hot crack while we can, you know?
Yeah, good on you. Good on you. Hey, your producer was Alex Markwell and your mixer was Trina Shoemaker. So some pretty decent sort of names there, I take it. How did you get onto them?
The press release is actually a bit incorrect there. Alex engineered it, but Soren and I produced it.
Gotcha.
So all of the real stressful shit we did.
And the expensive part as well. The expensive part you did as well.
Yeah. Saved a bit of coin.
Yeah. So, but you know, Alex is an old friend of ours from the Delta Rigs, and I used to play in that band, and we've both recorded with them before in different contexts, and we're just really comfortable with him. We got a shorthand with Alex that you just can't you can't buy anywhere, you know, because we've known him for almost as long as we've known each other. And then Trina, so we were sitting down trying to figure out who might mix it, because that's always going to be the hardest part. How do we get something that sounds authentic to the music we like without sounding homage, you know? And we went back and listened to a bunch of records, and it was the Charlie Crockett record, actually, where we both went, this is sick. Like that I'm Just a Clown song, which sounded really great. And so we're like, well, who mixed that? And Trina's name came up. We reached out to a few different mix engineers, and she was the only one who wrote back. And she wrote back immediately, and her rates were really good. And we struck up a friendship, and she said all the right things. And yeah, we just sent the files off to her when we finished recording them, and we got them back in like a week or something. And so I think
during that phase, also we found out that she mixed the first Sheryl Crow record, and I think that really sealed the deal.
Tick.
Yeah.
That's man. So quality is quality, right?
Yeah.
You get a good result, use good people, you know.
Yeah, and I think we recorded it in July, and we probably got the master back within 4 weeks.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's motoring. But
because they record everything at once, right? So like most people spend months recording stuff because they're just squeezing it in and doing vocal overdubs and stuff. We do everything super fast because we put all the hard work in before in the rehearsal process.
Yeah, because you guys got there's big harmonies there too, which, you know, can't be easy, you know, live to record live. You know,
we don't. We overdub.
The BVs are overdubbed, but often the lead vocal will be captured with the performance of the song, and then we'll
we get that energy, that energy that comes with a lot of people. But like, man, backing vocals are such the secret sauce of every great track.
I love it.
Thank you very much. We pull it all off live though, so we do have evidence.
Yeah. Happy to hear that. Now all you need is throw in a bit more 12 string.
Well, actually, you know what? Like, I don't think we have acoustic on anything yet. Like, it's an intentional aesthetic decision we've made to kind of keep it as close to the live show as possible without like embellishing too much. But yeah, we'll get there.
It's a bit of what you see is what you get too, right? People listen to the record, come and see the show.
Yeah.
I can see Braggy's getting ready for part 2.
I reckon it's time for number 2, part 2.
Yeah.
All right. Ready.
After graduating, and you'll get it after this. Well, at least I know Rossi will. After graduating in 1969, I moved to New Orleans and started busking for tourists at Decatur Street and playing for drunken crowds in the former Bayou Room nightclub on Bourbon Street. In 1970, I moved to Nashville to try to further my career. I didn't have much luck with music jobs, but got a job working as an editorial assistant for Billboard. In the fall of 1971, after an impromptu audition, I was hired by the Exit Inn, a Nashville club, as the opening act for recording artist Diane Davidson. In November of the same year, I met fellow country singer Jerry Jeff Walker, and he and I went to Key West in Florida on a busking expedition. I liked it so much, I moved there in the spring of 1972. It was here that I got involved in the literary scene, meeting writers Jim Harrison, Tom Cochran, and Truman Capote. Sex and drugs were plentiful, and I was hired by real estate developer David Wachowski playing for drinks at the Chart Room Bar in the Pier House Motel. From a connection I made there, I was hired as the first mate on a billionaire's yacht, which became my day job.
Oh man, I got no idea.
I love Jerry Jeff Walker, but I'm trying to think.
Yeah. That's a name I have not thought of for a long
Ricky
time.
Lee Jones. I've been thinking like the Meters. I mean,
Rossi, you haven't got it?
No, I haven't got it.
Cool.
Got it. Good. Well
I
done.
thought you might have got it there.
No.
How about that? Truman Capote, Tom Cook. I don't know if you guys are literary guys, but wow, hanging out with those guys.
I'm wearing a pair of spectacles that are called the Gregory Peck.
To
Kill a Bird.
Touche.
Yes, they are.
All right. So, how do you describe your music? I mean, you've talked a little bit about a country. We've talked a little bit about blues. I get a really strong visualization when I listen to Warm Love that I'm walking into like this dark, sweet speakeasy type place with the old smoke that's wafting around, and there's just a series of musicians just deep into whatever it is that they do. But how do you describe so that real blues feel? But how do you describe your music?
Southern Boogie is what we've come up with.
Ooh.
And it's sort of, as you mentioned earlier, it has been hard. You know, it's hard for us to tell other people what kind of music we are. Often it depends who you're talking to, what festival you're talking to, because we can sort of lean either way. We've fortunately been invited to country festivals as well as blues festivals and crossover festivals. So I think we're really lucky in that regard. But yes, I guess the other side of that is, not being able to really identify with one genre over another. Fortunately, I think the country scene in Australia has really embraced us. Tamworth has been really good to us. There's a lot of great colleagues in that scene that we've worked with and that we've played with over the last few years. So I think we feel that we're akin to the country scene here, but also the blues scene, and we're open to any festival.
But the country guys have got a big sense of community, haven't they?
Oh yeah, it's been
have.
Yeah. I mean, coming from that kind of punky indie background, I used to think there was nothing nicer than like a heavy metal crowd, but I think the country crowd takes the cake, because the indie crowd can be pretty snobby. But country's amazing. Like they really embraced us.
And I think that back in the day, in the era that say our music is evoked from, there was, I think, a relationship between the country and the rock and roll, like perhaps there isn't now. There's a lot more crossover, a lot more appreciation going on, and I think, it's nice to see that happening for us now, because they sort of see that is interwoven and it's part of our fundamental is country. So it's nice to have been welcomed in.
Well, Grateful Dead were past masters of that as well, And they brought the psychedelic to the party as well.
Yeah, you got to bring something different as well. So hopefully we're doing that. We'll see.
I guess two guitars. That's I don't know, Rossi. Is there? We talk about rock and roll. Is what? I don't know if there's any. Is that scene died a bit? It's just there is so much more country and blues festivals and stuff out there. For guitar-based bands.
Ebbs and flows, I think. There's always a reaction and an action and a reaction. Like young kids at the moment are ripping off their shirts and doing hardcore at the moment. I'm seeing 18, 19-year-olds doing that. Whereas, 5, 6, 7 years ago, they were all picking up their Fender Jazzmasters and.
I reckon rock and roll has been completely captured by computers. If I'm honest about it, like I know some touring bands who are playing with some really big rock acts, and you'd be surprised at how much of it's on backing track. Wow! And so they're playing over top of backing track to support it, and that doesn't fly in the country scene, and it doesn't fly in the blues scene. Like maybe at the top end, the very big fest. I saw Brad Paisley in April, no backing track. You know, like it's like if you're looking for authenticity, it's really easy to find in country and blues, I think. But
Yeah,
it's
you
amazing.
guys are players.
Yeah, but it's amazing how rock and roll, that's supposed to be the edgiest, like riskiest kind of style, is now played to click tracks and with, you know, with backing vocals and everything on the backing track. And even some of those hardcore bands you mentioned, they do it all as well. Everything's triggered. And so I think that, you know, to compete in rock and roll, you've got to supplement your production with backing tracks. And that hasn't come into the country and blues scene, I think, because people expect to see a bit of liveness to it. So I think rock and roll's in a tough place in that regard, you know.
Yeah. So you're not, Crew are very bad examples of that.
Yeah, I was just about to say, you're not telling me Kiss played to backing tracks on their research.
But see, we're talking old school, you know.
They're dinosaurs, man. Like we're waiting for the asteroid to come and take out Gene Simmons. You know?
Hey guys, it's been rude of us. Yeah, it's been rude of us. But who else is in the band? So you guys are both guitarists, right?
Yeah, for sure. We've got 6 of the best. We've got Tani Walker, my brother, on vocals. And the other members include Craig Mattingly on piano. Don't you dare say he's a keyboard player. He does dabble in both. We've got our man James Vincent Harding on bass and Nick Simons on drums.
Awesome. 6-piece.
That's at least 3 Queenslanders.
Yeah, it's 3. It's 3 Queenslanders, 2 Victorians, and a Tasmanian.
Walk into a bar. Yeah.
Which is good because you guys have got the numbers. You've got the numbers. You can vote them down.
We also have the places to stay on the Gold Coast when we go up there. So no one minds going. No one minds going because we're near the water.
So I take it you met the rest of the band in Melbourne. Is that where the band evolved from?
Yeah, we had a version 1.0 of the band that we probably tried to start with a few other friends of ours. That didn't quite kick off where we needed it to go. So we kind of started again. And I think it was through a couple of somebody's birthday party where we played like a Strokes cover set or something. And then a Christmas party after that where we met these guys. And it was just in between rehearsing this Julian Casablancas back catalogue stuff that I heard James and Nick start playing some shuffle stuff. And I was like, that sounds pretty good. And Soren and I had been looking like long and hard. We were thinking, we had a list of people we were going to audition. And we asked them to come along to a jam. And then before we knew it, it was like, okay, this is feeling good. We can swing, we can find a pocket. And then, you know, we were toying with vocalists for ages as well. And we knew how good Tiny was. Like we knew it. It was just whether or not he was into this kind of thing, if we wanted to do it. And sure enough, he was stoked too. So the final piece of the puzzle was Tane. And then, so we sort of basically started rehearsing in maybe like November. I don't even know what year it would have been, 2019 maybe. And by February the next year, we'd recorded that first EP. So I think Tiny had only been in the band 3 weeks or something when we first recorded that EP. And then Caitlin, for some reason, Caitlin Harnett heard about us and she had an opening act drop out for her Gasso show here. And I think it was the week after we'd finished recording the EP. So she put out a Hail Mary to ask us if we'd open because she knew Nick somehow. And we ended up opening for her, and it was our first ever show. And all we had were the 6 songs on the EP, so we just played them in the order that was on the EP. And then that was our only show for like 12 months because we went into lockdown. But a little snippet of that show came to the attention of someone at the Tamworth Hotel, who was like, if you guys ever are allowed out of the state, we'd love you to come and play at the Tamworth Hotel during the Tamworth Country Music Festival. And that was really the beginning of the snowball effect, because that was like we captured that crowd big time. You know, the first night was like maybe 300, then the next night word got around to 600, and then the next night they're having to shut the doors and not let people in. So
that's great.
Yeah, and then from there it was like Andy Gollage said, don't go home just yet, change your flights, play with me tomorrow night. So before you know it, we're playing in front of 400 people in Sydney, opening for him, and it was just constantly building for like crazy.
That
was 12 months ago.
It's your self-belief right there.
Yeah.
Come on. That's great. Well done.
Yeah. Let's make a documentary. That's it.
Yeah. Well,
Well, I think I know Soren mentioned it earlier, but we actually put out another one today.
I can't wait. Now I'm going to enjoy it even more.
So Sweet Talk, is it going to be is there another EP or?
Yeah.
Okay.
We're not quite sure yet, actually.
Okay.
But we're recording songs.
Yeah.
It's the album versus EP versus dripping singles on Spotify versus but that same old argument every time. What's the model? How does it work? And what do we do?
Yeah. We're learning. We're into our analytics now. You have to be.
Yeah, I love it. So okay, that's cool. But on that, there's one song I really want to mention here. I know we've still got a little way to go, but I really love "Left Me for the Music," mate. That's a pop song, and I love it. I'm a sucker for a great pop song. And when you first mentioned, I think you mentioned James Taylor. Your parents are watching James Taylor. I just get that vibe right from the start of that song with the piano.
Cool.
Yeah. Thank you, Baggy. That's that was one of the probably first 2 or 3 songs that we wrote. Yeah, it's a great one. Bit of a different vibe.
Yeah, it's more poppy, isn't it? Do you think?
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
It's a more sing-alongable hook and crowd-wise. Crowd get into it big time.
Crowd like that?
Yeah. We've got a clap part in it. So it's it's good.
Is that what they call those things? All right.
Yeah.
Yeah. And it's also one of the first times we really sort of, I guess we wrote a dual guitar part for that.
Yeah. It's got a dual solo too, yeah.
And it's a real part. So it's got a lead up part and then we take it, we saw. So, it's quite indulgent for a dual guitar part, but it's just the song required it. And we thankfully pulled it off, I think. But yeah, thanks for that. It's definitely a crowd favorite, I think. It goes off live.
All right, Braggy, part 3, mate.
Part 3. Okay.
And we're all going to get it, apparently.
Oh, if you don't,
I'm ready.
I'm so far away.
I'm about to mention like songs, so you're going to get it.
Okay.
But there is music. There is a music connection, is there? Because
yeah.
I've done just about everything else.
Look, I've got to make
and the answer to the question is it's the Pope.
Yeah.
There's been a couple of times when I've said I was born so and so in some place, and Curly goes, "Oh, that's Little Richard."
It's not Curly that says it; it's Rossi that says it.
I don't say it though. I don't say it. I just think it.
In 1973, I signed a recording contract with ABC Dunhill Records, then run by Don Grant. After the death of Jim Croce in a plane crash in September 73, Dunhill promoted me as a replacement. My first release was a white sports coat and a pink crustacean. Recorded at Thomas Glazer's studio on Music Row and released in 1973. The album featured the hit singles Grapefruit, Juicy Fruit, and Why Don't We Get Drunk, as well as I Have Found Me a Home, written about my experiences in Key West. I used the money I made from the album to buy my first boat. My second album, Living and Dying in 3/4 Time.
Gotta be Jimmy Buffett.
Jimmy Buffett, no?
Hey.
Yeah.
Let me just
we
finish.
should have got that from Florida, shouldn't we?
Yeah.
I was thinking that now. Now I think that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll finish it. I released Living and Dying in 3/4 Time, released in February 74, deviated from the island theme and included the song Come Monday, my first single to place in the Billboard Hot 100. In 1975, I formed the Coral Reefer Band and opened for the Eagles in August 75. In January 77, I released Changes in Latitudes, Changes in Attitudes, which, in the addition to the title track, featured my breakthrough hit song, Margaritaville. I wrote the song in 6 minutes. And ironically, while I attempted to negatively portray tourists in Key West, it led to an increase in tourism in the city. That year, I sublet my apartment in Key West to Hunter S. Thompson.
I was waiting for him to turn up.
My fans are called Parrotheads, and usually come to my shows wearing Hawaiian shirts and under the influence. My name is Jimmy Buffett.
If it didn't have it by then, we would have had it at the Hawaiian shirt.
Yeah. It's a fantastic episode of 30 Rock all about the Buffett heads.
Yeah.
And Parrothead.
Another one of my dad's big time favorites. That was always on at home. Yeah, we've been listening to a bit of him lately, actually, because there's a band going around at the moment called Midland. American country band. They're basically taken Buffett's thing and just repackaged it now.
Yeah.
Hawaiian shirts.
People say I got a drinking problem.
Yeah, good. It's good stuff. It's
no problem at all. Now, Braggy, you're not going to believe this, but first up, rest in peace, Jimmy Buffett. But I actually got that in the second part.
I believe you, Curly.
I thought to myself, that's not Jimmy Buffett, is he? Ben, you almost threw me with white sports coat and pink carnation. I'm
thinking Roger Miller.
No. White sports coated pink crustacean.
That's right.
Okay. So second, I was going to say, you're not talking about Jimmy Buffett, but I
well done, Curly.
I can't be first, ever. All right, so boys. In the final segments of the show, what's next for you? What's happening where are you guys heading? You're heading to Nashville or to Memphis or any of those places?
Something even better, Sydney, apparently.
Yes. Starting
Byron, hey.
Yes, Tennessee via Sydney this Saturday at the Newtown Festival. I think that's via donation, so come on down. That should be a good one. Then we've got some time off over Chrissy, but we're hitting it hard in January at Tamworth and then kicking straight into the Charlie Crockett tour. We've got Riverboats coming up, which is a fantastic festival, bunch of great artists there. And obviously Blues Fest coming up. But if people want to sort of check out our dates, we've got them all at www.sweettalkmusic.com.au. or on Instagrams. We're pretty active on there. The handle is at @sweet_talk_music. So yeah, we've got a lot of great gigs coming up, and we'd love everyone to come there.
Yeah, it's on and upward for you guys by the sounds of it.
That sounds massive.
We've also got a Christmas song coming out on the 1st of December.
Right.
A Christmas
song. That is old school.
That would be today.
Tell me is there sleigh bells in it?
There's the whole. Is there though?
No, there's a what do you call it? A tubular bell.
A tubular bell.
Right.
Lovely. That's lovely.
But we recorded that completely. No, there is. It was a sample, but we recorded that all live except for the tubular bell.
So you put out one.
I could emulate that.
So you put out Santa Claus is Coming to Town last year, I take it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Okay. And then you've got one coming out this year.
Yeah.
That is cool. That's
great.
No, we're going to do it every year. So the idea is in 12 years we'll have an album.
Well, Curly, we'll have to play that on the Christmas show, Curly, for sure.
Yeah.
And you'll be topping the British charts by then.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. We'll be full legacy mode by then.
Yeah, you could definitely call it the best of your Christmas songs.
Yeah.
It'll be the
There you
best of the best of Sweet Talk.
Yeah.
Love
Well,
it.
I think on top of that, I think we're going to release another single in February. I think so. Is it the end of the Charlie Crockett run?
Yep.
A new single coming out called Hot Skillet Love. Which
Hot Skillet Love.
Hot Skillet Love, yeah.
Oh my
A little
God.
bit hotter than warm love.
A little bit hotter than warm. And so that's going to be a Trina Shoemaker, Trina mix again. And we'll put out a couple more singles. And the idea is, all things go well, we will get over to the States sometime next year, sort of around September.
That's the place for you.
Absolutely. I mean, you have to go there to sustain a career, really, in what we do. So,
well, let's hope they love you. Let's hope they understand you.
Yeah.
Well, I have a feeling it's going to be like the Rolling Stones taking blues back in 1966.
Yeah, they'll think you're from there. Yeah.
Like I said, first when I went to Nashville, and you're walking down the street, and there's a 20-foot poster of Keith Urban, you'll be fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
For sure.
Well, guys, I'll make sure your links are in the show notes of the podcast so that people can go check it out. We'll edit in some of your music, and Warm Love will definitely be in there. And what was the song, Braggy? The
Left Me for the Music.
Left Me for the Music.
Love that
we'll
one.
make sure that one's in there. And of course, I like Superman because it reminds me a little bit of the bicycle song. So.
All right. Superman, take 4.
The start of that. So,
we'll take that, Curly. Thank you.
Curly's descriptions are the best.
He's a big fan. It's a big Mungo Jerry fan.
Yeah, just the beginning. It just sort of, but anyway. So, guys, thanks heaps for coming on the show tonight.
Yeah, it's been good.
I hope you've enjoyed the episode. I hope our viewers have enjoyed the episode. And of course, if you have, please like and subscribe wherever you've listened to the podcast, whether it's YouTube, Facebook, TikTok, or any number of podcast platforms that are out there. Of course, it's also on our website at unfilteredundiscovered.com. The songs that we featured during the show are in our Unfiltered Undiscovered playlist on Spotify, which is now over 300 songs. So there are some absolute classics. And as per always, lyrics from the playlist, this comes from that great WA band called The Stems. The song's called 10 Me in 2 Ways. And it opens with these classic lines, all these things that you never said, all those words going through my head. Time after time, I let her cry. I laughed, and she waved goodbye. And as we wave goodbye, thanks for tuning in. Thanks, guys, for being with us. Very much appreciated. And we'll see everyone else next week. Bye for now.
Appreciate it, Curly, Rossi, Braggy. Thanks, guys.
Thanks, guys.
And somewhere along the line, we lost Braggy. There.